So before we get into this video, if you guys want to check out my feature film Pace D, you can. It's on Amazon right now. You can also check out the Blu-ray. Follow my link tree down below. You can check out my social medias. You can check out my short films, my filmography. You can also link with me. Always looking to collaborate with other filmmakers. And yeah, Climax. Gaspar Noé, I feel like I've had a love-hate relationship with him, which I think that would go for everybody, I think, that watches his films. I used to not be the biggest fan of Gaspar Noé, if I'm being completely honest. I'm not really the biggest fan of I Stand Alone. Irreversible's good. I like it. I'm actually going to watch the straight cut here soon. Love was decent. I enjoyed it. Vortex was pretty good. I've seen all of his films. I actually did a ranking on my channel a little bit ago. Enter the Void I thought was magnificent. And everything that he's done, I feel like I either love the guy or just completely hate what he does. And I kind of don't feel that way anymore. Let me explain. As I watch films, I tend to get pretty bored. I really like it when somebody does something completely different, whether it be something with the filmmaking itself, like the camera, the sound design, the score. It could even be something as simple as the titles, the way that the titles are presented. I just like it when people try to innovate. Even if it doesn't work, I still enjoy it. Well, one thing that I realized about Gaspar Noé is every single thing that he does, he tries that. And whether he succeeds or fails is completely up to you, the viewer. But for me, there's one film in particular that I feel like he succeeded tenfold, and I think it is probably one of the best films of the 21st century. It was a film that when I first watched it, I knew I loved it. It ended up creeping into my top 50. It was like number 44 or something. And then upon a rewatch, it moved up to my number 25, I think, 25, 26, something like that. I think it's in my top 25 now. And that film is Climax. Now, this is probably the most accessible of his films, you could probably say, just because it's really short at like 93 minutes long, and it's not necessarily as heavy as some of his other works. Like Irreversible, I probably wouldn't recommend to anybody, nor I Stand Alone. Enter the Void has a pretty interesting premise, and I feel like even if a casual movie viewer watched that, they would be like, wow, this is not at all what I like watching, but I've never seen anything like this before. So I feel like there could be a little bit of an appreciation there, but with like Irreversible or I Stand Alone, there's no way nobody's liking that. And then Vortex, I think Vortex is somewhat approachable, although very experimental the way that it's presented, and that's just something that Gaspar Noé does. I feel like he's a revolutionary. I feel like now he is ahead of his time. I do, and I don't think I probably would have said that like 3 years ago. Probably not. But let's talk about Climax a little bit. I have completely rambled on about Gaspar Noé, and I probably will continue to do so. But what is Climax about? Well, Climax is about a group of dancers that end up getting their sangrias spiked, and they end up everything just goes to hell. Everything just goes to hell. You see these dancers, they perform, they drink the sangria, and then just everything, the worst happens, basically, where they start tripping balls. And yeah, it's not a fun time. The way that the film is presented, when it first opens up, there's like 3 seconds of title sequences, which are not 3 seconds, 3 sections of title sequences, which if you're familiar with Gaspar Noé, you know he is no stranger to that. And the way that it's presented is it opens up with the camera holding on this very pretentious shot of a TV set with the characters basically spilling the beans about things, giving a lot of this unnecessary exposition that probably wouldn't work in any other film. And then on each side of the TV, I'm assuming it's all of Gaspar Noé's favorite literature and all of his favorite films. Very on-the-nose stuff, very corny if I'm being completely honest, but somehow it just works. And then we get this really long dance choreographed scene, which is probably some of the best dancing sequences I've ever seen in film. May be the best, coming from Gaspar Noé, which is wild. And then we get to see a section of all of these people drinking the sangria, which it looks like a student film. The camera is just posted up. There are people just drinking it, and that's it. And it even goes as far as having like 2 characters that are just wearing all black hats, black gloves. Like it looks so amateurish, where it's just not, and it just shouldn't be this good. And then the rest of it is just the camera following these characters as they go through just absolute insanity. I mean, you have to commend Gaspar Noé's direction on this because he does go for it. And I am not saying when I say something is amateurish or student filmish or whatever, I am not saying that in a bad way whatsoever. I'm seriously not. Like, I don't mean that as a jab at Gaspar Noé. I think it's masterful. I think it's genius the way that he does things because he takes these certain tropes and he basically flips them on their head to where they're in his own style and he's putting them out there in a different way. Like one thing that I said about Jonathan Glazer's Zone of Interest was the specific cut with the flowers and then the fade to red and then the bass just going. I mean, that's something, you know, you would see somebody making Movie Maker or something, you know, just as an attempt to edit something together. But in that film, it works because it's so jarring and there's an actual meaning behind it. Where, again, I feel like a lot of the way that Noé presents things in his films, there is a meaning behind it. And if you can sort of get that in, you know, your head for your viewing experience for his films, then I feel like it's a lot easier to sort of accept what he's trying to say. So instead of seeing like, oh, okay, well, this camera shot is upside down. No, there's probably a reason for it. Oh, well, the camera's holding on these two characters, and it looks like there's like this blinking edit as they're talking, jump cutting stuff that they say. Yeah, there's probably a reason to that. And that's something that I've not really understood about No Way really until now. And I do think that Climax is the main reason why I'm viewing Noé's filmography like this, because I think Climax is a perfect film. I think that it does everything right. It might not seem right to you at first, but I think upon rewatches, you begin to understand what he was going for, how elegantly the film's pacing is, the production, how simple it is in one location. It feels, in a weird way, the film feels a lot longer than it is, but it's not. It's still extremely short, but there's so much meat on these bones to kind of understand what Noé is trying to do. So if you've never seen Climax before, I highly recommend checking it out. I know this video was just mainly me fanboying over Gaspar for a little bit, but I feel like you kind of have to talk about one of his films, because if you're just like, oh, hey, watch Climax, somebody's going to watch it and be like, what the fuck? But yeah, definitely check it out. I don't know how much higher it would move on a rewatch. I could see it moving further up on a rewatch. I don't see it moving down. And I'm also going to do a video talking about irreversible straight cut and original cut coming soon. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit that subscribe button. I am on my way to go see The Brutalist for a second time. Enjoy. Wait, why am I telling you to enjoy? I will enjoy. I hope you enjoyed the video.